Ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to participate in this conference. This is a unique example on Latvian scale that we can have a teleconference and share information on remote terms. This is a very good example. My task and duty today is to tell about alternative means of funding in Latvia. I myself will tell about crowdfunding and crowdfunding platforms. I represent crowdfunding platform Project Bank with website projektubanka.lv. It's been operating in Latvia for a little bit more than 2 years. Later, I will also share our experience with this project, but at the beginning I will give you some insight in the crowdfunding or community funding, and I will show you a couple of pictures so that my presentation is easier to perceive. What is the difference between traditional funding and crowdfunding? Within framework of the traditional funding, the receiver of a funding I'm sorry, we have some technical difficulties. Can you see the screen right now? Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience caused. I will continue. I was about to tell about the difference between traditional funding and collective funding or financing. Traditional financing means that a large amount of money is paid to the receiver from one source. It could be a bank, Altum, or other financial institution. It provides part of the sum or all of the sum for business development. However, crowdfunding is a means of funding when there are several creditors who each of them commit a small or relatively small amount of money. Collective funding or crowdfunding platforms are used as a solution to bring the receivers and givers of funding together. With help of technological development, crowdfunding has become more popular. Their growth has been very fast over the last few years. The European and global trends show that the share of funding received by crowdfunding or by this means of funding is increasing very fast. When we look at the division of crowdfunding platforms, they could be divided into two large parts. One of them could be described by donations or rewards, and the other equity and lending. Equity and lending part is based on return on investment. It could involve investment in the equity capital of a company. For instance, investor gets return from his investment in terms of shares, capital shares of a company, or the other type, lending, involves often mutual lendings from one company to another. All of those types of crowdfunding are available in Latvia, but I will tell you more about Latvian landscape. Probably the most popular crowdfunding platform worldwide is Kickstarter. A Latvian company, Interreg, which belongs to projektubanka.lv group, managed to gather more than $1 million for development of AirDog drones and launching them on market. Another popular crowdfunding platform is Indiegogo. It is also popular in Latvia. When you look at the companies from Latvia, simply by typing in the search word Latvia, you can also see several Latvian companies who are more or less successful or who are still in the process of gathering the funding. This is also a Latvian product, Steer. It is a wearable device that helps drivers to avoid the risk of falling asleep when driving. The author comes from Riga, and he currently has accumulated more than $44,000. Another examples of crowdfunding come, for instance, from Estonia, Hoandja. This is equivalent of Latvian Project Bank. This website has been operational for several years and has been provided funding for more than 760 companies, and the total amount of funding attracted was more than 2.4 million euros. These are the first and the most remarkable examples to illustrate how topical crowdfunding platforms are. When it comes specifically to Latvian project called Projektubanka, it's been operational for 2 years already. We cannot boast with millions of investments as the previous speaker did, but slowly and gradually we are taking our steps and trying to change the mindset of the society when it comes to the means of funding. Therefore, we expect that our rate of development in the future will be increasingly faster. We have managed to attract almost 100,000 euros throughout those 2 years. The number of investors was more than 2,700, and the number of financed projects was 34. It has to be noted that the number of unfinanced projects, or projects which did not manage to collect the necessary amount for financing, is also around 30. As to the procedure and operation of the project bank, it is an internet platform. Projects are published here and are openly available. And each of the uploaders of a project or authors of a project can create the content. The content can include pictures, videos, and also the uploader or the author of the project can decide on the time frame during which he or she wants to receive or accumulate all the necessary funding. We need to check that the content of the product confirms minimum standards, but we do not perform in-depth financial analysis or analysis on the viability of the company. This is for the project author to decide, and project author can also decide how much information to disclose about the company. Here you can see one of the examples of a project. Here is a video of the product. Video is a very attractive means how to speak up to the investor. Here you can see the amount of funding expected, 2,000 euros. Currently only 88 euros have been accumulated or collected. It means that this campaign has been quite unsuccessful, and if they do not come up with an idea how to speed up the rate of investment, it might end up unsuccessfully. Here you can see a video created by the author himself with photos and videos, descriptions, basically all the story about the company, its vision and expectations and goals. I believe it is important that this web platform also allows to communicate with the project team, ask questions, and find them on other social networks or write them an email. Therefore, this platform serves not only for collecting investment and financing, but also giving information about the company. Here you can also see the investors of the project. Here there have been 7 investors in the project. You can click on the profile of each of the investors and have detailed information. This is from the user's side. But when it comes to investors, what do you have to do if you want to support some of the projects proposed? There are several ways of investing in a project. You can invest any amount starting from €5 to €119. With investing €119, you would become the initial or early buyer of this innovative design lamp. For instance, you enter the amount of money you want to invest. You receive what you want to receive. You decide what you want to receive in return and write a comment, for instance, a specific wish for the company or your feedback or anything, and then you pay. When it comes to means of payment, several options are offered. You can pay from internet banking solutions of Swedbank, Nordea, SEB, and Citadele Bank. You can also pay through PayPal or pay with your payment card or Paysera wallet, which is Lithuanian analog for PayPal. So, as you see, there are several means of payment you can choose from. When we look at the projects which have managed to gather the full funding, or the projects which are topical currently, mainly these are social or culture-driven projects, for instance, publication of books, improvement and management of public areas, sports arenas, organization of various events. These are usually the products that need funding before actually starting to develop a product or organizing an event. The investors perform advance payment and expect to receive the proposed or promised benefit later on. It might be tickets to the respective event, or probably the product itself, or simply just thank you for helping to develop our project and our cooperation. We have several partners, and we are actively working in attracting increasingly larger number of new partners. Our partners are legal entities who are willing and ready to provide co-funding for different projects. I will tell you more about our cooperation with Cirulis Municipality. Cirulis Municipality is ready to co-fund around 50% of the total costs of the project if the project meets specific criteria. That is, a project is implemented in Cirulis. The beneficiaries of the product are society at large. This is our future way of working we want to focus on. A good example of such cooperation is a frisbee golf field in Cirulis. The necessary amount of funding was 2,380 euros, and it was collected. Part of the funding was given by the local municipality of Cēsis and another part by crowdfunding possibilities. I will tell you what happens if a project doesn't manage to collect the necessary funding within the term specified. The money invested by investors is then returned back to the virtual wallet of investors. Here you can see my virtual wallet. There are 3 euros, and I can have a look at my profile and my previous activities. I can see where I have invested my money, which of the projects have been successful and which of the projects have been unsuccessful, and therefore my investments have been returned. And when my investments have been returned to my virtual wallet, I can reinvest them in a different project. It is simply to upload a project on our platform. Everything has to be done online. You simply have to fill in a web form with all the necessary identification data, address, summary of your project, also type of organization you represent. And you can use additional opportunities to upload videos, photos, or anything else that would contribute to the content of your project description. So this is a brief story about the activities of the project bank and the opportunities it could provide for entrepreneurs to attract additional or alternative funding. I would like to emphasize that this is an opportunity to attract partial funding. If you need co-funding alongside with a bank loan or European funds, here you can sell your product in advance and get the necessary co-funding. At the same time, it will serve as a trial platform to understand if the society is ready and willing to buy your product. In addition, it can serve as another marketing channel to speak up to your potential customers. Do you have any questions? My name is Dagmar. I represent Talsi Business Incubator. Do you control in any way that a project applicant or project author fulfills his liabilities? For instance, when to send the tickets to the event or to send the product to the investors and everything? That's a good question. Yes, we do also control the implementation of the project. We perform follow-up. When a company has managed, or the author of the project has managed to gather the necessary funding, we conclude an agreement with each individual project author and applicant. And this contract stipulates mutual liabilities. One of them is that the project should comply the description, and after implementing the project, the implementer of the project needs to report us on the costs of the project. We request a project applicant to submit us payment documents. We are not controlling the quality or the content of the project in such a detailed level, but we check that the liabilities of a project applicant have been met. According to the global standards, the quality of a project is responsibility of the project applicant. We, from our side, also take or apply we withhold a small amount of the payment, and we pay it back to the project applicant when we are sure that there are no complaints or objections from the side of investors. So this is how we try to control and follow up on the implementation of the project.